All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this online class. This is going to be the first in this series. And in what we plan on achieving with this series is bringing you information and knowledge on how to gain admission outside of Nigeria or wherever you're connected from. So we've been getting a lot of questions from some of our members and clients about some sensitive issues with abroad job application, abroad schooling application. So I said, okay, why not we put out this platform, run through a series covering different countries, people who have made it through schooling or through work permits, how they did it, and share their own story and give you insights on how you can do it yourself, right? So we're kicking off with Germany, and I have with me Akachukwu. Akachukwu is my friend. We stayed in the same lodge while we were serving. That is while we were serving in Nigeria. We stayed in the same lodge, and I know a bit of his story. At a point, he even missed his visa interview, and it looks like the abroad study thing was not going to work out again. So what he's going to do today is share his story, how he did it, insights on sensitive things like personal statements, how he scaled through that, how he was able to pick the school, how he was able to scale through the visa interview, and probably life in the first few weeks or months in the new location. Okay, so we're not going to waste much time. He's going to go straight to it. If you have any question, please on time start leaving your question. You can drop it you can send me the questions. You can send to, there's a Michael Ubuma. You can send your questions to him, or you can send it to me so that we take your question. At the end of these things, if you have questions, maybe you've been trying to apply to Germany and you've had some issues, you need insights, Mr. Akachukwu will be ready to take your questions personally. So Akachukwu, welcome on board. I'm trusting everybody is waiting to hear from you. So just tell us briefly, how was it? What's your story like? How were you able to pick this school? How did you even come about going to Germany and studying in Germany?
Okay, good everyone. My name is Akachukwu, like Richard rightly introduced me. So I'm having my master's, I'm studying my master's program at the University of Siegen. I think I'm in my second semester of the master's program. I'm currently writing my exams. Okay, to the question, how I came about applying to Germany. I think the journey started in 2019. Was it 2019? All this while I've been hoping to apply to schools in the US, in Canada. But I quite consider the admission processes to be cumbersome, especially submitting reference letters. So someone introduced me to, told me about German schools and the fact that in fact, 85% of German schools, in the case public schools, are tuition free, and they also have the opportunity to be funded by Erasmus Plus Scholarship, which is supported or funded by European Union through the European Commission. So I began to make my research. That was 2018. He introduced me in 2018, not 2019, 2018. So I began to make my research 2018, 2019. So, but most of the research I made regarding admission processes was last year, and I applied to several schools. I think I applied to five different schools in Germany. So four offered me admission. The other could not offer me admission because I never met the requirement. So basically, a friend referred me to, suggested I should think about applying with German schools. Hello, Richie. Did everyone hear me? Because,
Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
I did hear you. I don't know if any other person.
I
Hope
can hear you.
everybody can hear him. I think everyone can hear you.
Oh, okay. I'm done. I mean, you asked a question, and I think I've responded to the question.
Okay, great. All right. So out of the five schools you applied to, 4 accepted you. Do you think there was any do you think there's something special that would, what do you think gave you the advantage? Because a lot of people apply and still they don't get feedback, but you are having 4/5 success rate. Is there something you think gave you the advantage?
Okay. In addition to the fact that I had a very nice grade, so it was difficult for schools to reject me. But in addition to that, I also had prior work experience related to what I was applying for. Not only that, I also had volunteer experience also related to what I was applying for. But the hallmark of it is possible to have the first class. In my case, I had the first class and a very nice grade, anyways. To have a very good results, have a very good reference letter. But if you don't have a good personal statement, because your personal, most of these admission committees, they really may not have time. I mean, they don't have time to be looking at applications and, they'll be considering the nitty-gritty of applications in detail. So most of the things, or one of the most important things they check out for in an admission application, is your personal statement. Some schools will call it a motivation statement. So if you don't get it right, I mean, every other thing in fumbles, even the so-called first degree, I mean, first class and the good result fumbles. So I think one of the things that placed me ahead of others was where my good results and the good recommendation letters I had from my lecturers, the personal, especially personal statement. I mean, personal statement. You can have a second class lower, and with your second class lower, you can be able to convince the admission committee. I mean, you can even tell them why you made a poor result. I mean, briefly, then they are looking at someone who is highly motivated, someone who can deliver, someone with new ideas, someone with new ways of doing things, not just the norm. So, I mean, that was basically it. My personal statement, my result, the good recommendation letters I got my from my lecturers, and applying for the right course. Very important. Applying for the right course, very important. You can also see that it will also affect your visa decision. Yeah, I've heard of some people who got who had their visas rejected by the German consulate because what they studied in their first degree was different from what they had as an admission in a German school. The German schools would give you admission whether it relates with what you study in your first degree, especially when you're able to convince them in your personal statement and your CV. But when you go for your this interview, that's where the ball game now lies to assess whether what you're applying for in Germany, German school, relates with what you studied during your first degree. Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay, just so you know, your video is, I don't know. Okay, it's on now. Okay, so
Yeah.
you said your advantage was the combination of your results, your personal statements, choosing the right course which aligned with what you studied and the volunteer experiences you had, right?
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Okay, so before we come to the personal statement, because at Fasthire Services, one of the services we render is personal statement writing, and I know the importance of personal statement writing. But before we come to personal statement writing, let's talk a little bit about picking a course that is closely related to maybe what you studied. Most times when some people come to us and part of the questions we ask, what did you study in your first degree? What are you going for? What are you currently? They don't really align. And what most of them want is that just find a way that is going to align. So do you have any lesson on, or do you have any message on how people can, sometimes because of the school you're seeing opportunity in, it might not really have that course that you studied in your first degree. What do you do in situations like that, and how can you still maintain that related course and all?
Okay, let me use as an example. So in most cases, they require, the German embassy requires, forget about what the school is saying and what the school is not saying.
Okay.
Like I said before now, a school can give you admission. After giving admission, you go with the admission letter. In fact, the admission letter is one of the most important documents that will determine whether the embassy will give you a visa or not. So you go with the admission letter to the German embassy. So they want to see how related what you studied in school, your first degree, or even if you are going for another degree entirely, I mean another first degree in the case you want to do a second first degree. They want to see whether what you studied previously aligns with what you want to study. But alternatively, I also have persons who, or have heard of stories of persons who never studied, or never had a background in political science. They had a background in humanities, for example. But because they've already acquired work-related experience, volunteer-related experience, and so by virtue of their work experience, by virtue of their job experience, by virtue of their volunteer experience, they can be qualified to apply for that course. And so the embassy would, but you need to also explain it just briefly explain it in your personal statement. For example, you studied animal husbandry in your first degree, and you are going for which course now? Which course? Biotechnology as an example. You can explain that, okay, what really accounted for your change of course, change of discipline, change of career plan. You need to explain what really accounted for that, and try as much as possible to tie it with your work experience, what you've been doing previously, because the embassy will ask you, one of the questions they asked me during my interview was, before you gained admission, what were you doing? So if I had told them I was just folding my hands and applying for jobs, and I mean that's already a red flag. Whether your intentions are good or they are not good, that's already a red flag. So you have to explain to them that what you're applying for relates with what you studied previously, or your work experience or volunteer experience. You already acquired some, professional experience, whether certification or whatever, that
Yes.
aligns with what you're applying for, and that's. I know of persons who has their background in humanities,
Okay.
but they went for IT related course, two different things entirely. So how do you now convince the admission officer or even the visa officer that you would be serious with your studies and you would really perform? Because the German embassy and the the visa officers want to, or Germany as a whole, because they don't charge anything for, more or less, they don't charge anything for tuition. They want to really get the best people come to their country. So they don't want a situation in which someone is given an admission, offered an admission, offered the student visa, goes to Germany, and is not able to complete the study in record time, or is having issues because he's unable to understand some of the concepts, some of the basic concepts. So they want to really know that you are able to successfully complete the program in record time. So that's basic. So if you're able to tie it with if you don't have a prior study experience, you can tie your personal statement, your application based on your work experience or your volunteer experience, and I think they would find your case reasonable.
Oh, wow. Okay, great. That's revealing. That's revealing. Thank you so much. So, The next thing we're going to talk about now is personal statements. And why I'm laughing already, because I remember the first encounter we have in writing, and you can also remember our roommates, how we used to debate about English construction and the rest. Okay, so for the people listening, just a brief. I and Akachukwu used to be roommates, I said, when we were serving, and we had another roommate that was a law student, a law graduate, right? So he did some courses in English language while he was studying. So he used to always have something about grammar in every statement you made and all. And the first time I had to work on Akachukwu's CV, it was really interesting because it was not like something I just picked up his CV and worked on it. It was practically like we were working on it together. And so I chose this part, which is going to talk about, which is personal statements. Personal statements are very important. We know that most times people have challenges writing about themselves. People have challenges putting up good constructions, right? So, but Akachukwu is going to tell us how you can do it, and possibly some of the hacks to, or some of the things he applied in his own personal statements that made the school accept his, or made the schools, because you've heard now that he had a 4/5 acceptance from the schools he applied. So he's going to tell us how he went about. Akachukwu, did you use one personal statement for all of them? All these are sensitive questions. People come to us and say, write me one personal statement. I want to use it for all my applications. So did you use one? How were you able to go on to change the personal statements in these different areas? Tell us about personal statements.
Like I said before now, thank you for that question, because if there was anything scaring me or that scares me or scared me in 2020, last year, when I was submitting my application to many schools, the several schools I submitted to, was personal statement. In fact, well, in addition to reference letter, there were some scholarships that I was willing to apply for, but because you know how reference letter, getting recommendation letters from your lecturers, and the administrative protocols, you know, Nigeria, how Nigeria things are with Nigerian education system. But personal statement was really a tug of war, but I really had to work on it. And even after working on my personal statement, I had to send it to other persons for preview, not preview, for proofreading. Yeah, proofreading. So I never submitted one personal statement. I never used one personal statement for the entire school that I applied for.
Okay.
Each of those, and of course I was applying for different programs. I was applying for international organizations. The one I'm currently studying, I applied for Masters in Democracy. So you would see that the personal statement will assume different formats, although more or less similar content, because you are practically telling them yourself, telling them, I mean, not that you're telling them about yourself entirely, about how many children your parents gave birth to, or I mean, stuff like that. You're telling them the experiences you've gathered over the years. If you're telling them the certification courses you've gathered over the years, relating, you must, and make sure you relate everything you are saying to the program. Everything you are saying to the program. If you had a relevant certification program you had, you relate it to the program. How relevant is that certification to that program? If it's not relevant, please don't include it. If a work experience is not relevant, do not mention it in your personal statement. For example, I worked, I once served in sustainable development goals, general sector of the sustainable development goals, community development service group of the NYSC during my service. Even after NYSC, I also joined an international organization in Lagos State, yeah, an international organization having a branch in Lagos State. I was their general secretary. So what we were basically doing was defending or activating the 17 sustainable development goals. And what one of the admissions I was applying for was development studies. So when I was applying for that, when I was preparing the personal statement for that master's in development studies, and I mentioned to the admission committee that I worked as a general secretary of sustainable development goals in this organization, and this was one of the hallmarks. This was one of the hallmarks of my administration, or my one of the things my team and we achieved. Because they are looking at people who are community active, people who contribute to, especially if you want to apply to US schools and you want to receive food funding, they're looking at people who participate in community service. So basically, I was not sending just one application, one personal statement to the entire school that was applying. And one other thing to also take note in writing personal statement is that you need to browse about the program you are applying for. You need to know some of the course lecturers. For example, I mentioned in my personal statement that okay, I haven't checked or haven't perused through the course brochure. I found lecturer A or lecturer XYZ interesting to work with. I found him. I mean, his research interest aligns with mine. You see, so they already know that this guy has already made his own research. He has already made his own research, and he even knows some of our lecturers, which shows that there's a level of discipline, there's a level of determination to really know more about it. So basically, you don't just write a general personal statement. You write a general personal statement, it will not only deny you scholarship, it will also deny you admission. So you need to tailor your personal statement specifically to the program you're applying for. And I mean, you would and also send it to other persons who are somewhat good at writing personal statement. And very important also, Richard was talking about what's it called, grammar. Yes, very important. Even though I have a mastery of English, especially written English, I also made use of Grammarly. Grammarly is very good, and especially when you're using a premium version of it. It's very good in correcting some of these general mistakes we make in writing English, because they also check that. They also check that. The admission committee also check your level of mastery of English language and all that. So that was basically it. Hello, Richie. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
I'm done with that. With your question regarding personal statement. Except you have, yeah.
Okay. All right. Great. Some people are dropping questions. So, but I prefer we take them at the end, although some of them are like related to the different sections. So I don't know. How would you like to take the questions? Do we do all at the end?
I think it's better we do a Q&A session at the end of the. Sorry, it's not disorganized.
At the end, right? Okay. Because I have one question now.
I don't know. However you want to do it, but me, I would prefer taking all the questions at the end,
right? Yeah. Okay. But that works for me. So we're taking this stage by stage, and we're trying to walk through the different stages that you are going to take, anybody's going to take when you want to leave this country for studying. Now we've scaled through personal statements. The next thing is visa interview, right?
Yeah.
For Germany visa interview, I remember your experience and how you missed your first interview. And it's good that we're having you here because you missed it and you still found a way to get a second interview. Guys, some people, when they miss that first interview, you don't get it again. And then you have to try another time and another time. So, but he was able to miss it. And he's going to tell us how he did it, that they gave him a second call for an interview. This is not like he rescheduled. He missed it. He literally missed it. And that's supposed to be like, this guy is not serious to come to our country. But he missed it, and somehow he found a way to get a second call. So Akachukwu is going to tell us how he prepared his documents that he submitted to the embassy, how he was able to scale through the visa, and the inside tip of how he was able to get a second call. So Akachukwu, I hate thee. Over to you. Tell us how you did it. How were you able to sweet stop them?
Okay. Before I answer that question, please, you permit me to go back. There is a website. If you're applying for schools in Germany, there is a central website. Not really a central website, but a resource website where you can really tell all your search. If I were with my phone, with my system. If I were using my system for this Zoom conversation, I would have demonstrated shared my screen and demonstrated how one can really search for courses using the website. So with that website, I will just share it. Hold on. I will share it. Sorry, I'm sharing it. I have to disable my video. Okay. So I will get the second one. That's just an overview of applying to. That's just a bit of information regarding applying to schools in Germany, and that website would really help you. And the other website I will also maybe send before the end of the session would enable you. So if you want to search for a program, for example, if you want to study computer science, you can type on the system on the search icon there. Then you identify whether you want to study in English, or you want to study in Deutsch, or you want to study in both English and Deutsch. Identify how many years you want to run your program, whether 2 years or 1 year. So once you've already ticked the boxes, and also identify whether you are willing to pay tuition, whether you are looking at tuition-free schools in Germany. So once you were able to tick the boxes, then apply it to your search engine. Every search option you get, every search result you get would show what you've applied. So everything you, for example, if you want to study in a free school, you would get results only based on schools that are free and schools that teach English in English. That if you so wish to study in English. So over to your question about the visa interview. I did not miss my interview, Richard. What I attended my visa interview. The first interview I had was February 9. Yeah, that was February 9. What happened that day was I went for my visa interview very early. On getting to just in the process of finalizing my interview, even doing my biometrics, which was to be the last stage of the interview. So they were not checking my bank statement. You know how the requirement, the financial requirements for the German student visa is different for the financial requirements for the UK visa. For the UK visa, let me just compare a bit. For the UK visa, you can just get your Nigerian account, deposit some amount of money that would cover, that should cover your entire study and also your living expenses. Deposit it into that Nigerian account. So after your visa has been granted, some people go and remove the money. But in the German system, it does not work like that. So one of the requirements is blocked accounts. They call it German blocked account. You're expected to open a German account. You know, German account. The process is really very easy. The bank I opened with was Fintiba. So you go to their systems and it's just an automated process. Within 5 hours, you would have completed the whole process, because they also, with that 5 hours. Within that 5 hours, you will also have to verify your passport and verify some of the details you submitted. So you open the account with them, then deposit. I think the current requirement, as at the time I opened my account, the current requirement, the current financial requirement for studies was 10,300 and something, 320 something euros. Was it? Yeah, 320 something euros. So on getting to the interview, I discovered that they had, or was it on the day of the interview? No, a day before my interview, I discovered that the embassy had increased the amount, just with a difference of naira difference of 60,000 naira, euro equivalent of just 100 euros. So what I was not having in the account was 100 euros. So because of that, because of the disparity between what they had upgraded and what I was having, they had to now tell me I should go back, that they can't take in an application, they can't complete the visa process, visa application process because of that amount. Trust me, the German embassy is so strict. They are strict on time, they are strict on financial requirement. Even if you have, for example, they say, I'm saying, okay, let me not say in Arabic, because I know that this video will be posted online, and we may have people from other countries. So if they say, okay, we need 1,000 euros in the account, and someone deposited 999 euros 55 cents, they will not take in the application. They will not take in the application. You must have the complete financial requirement. You must have it, and that you have that and deposit it into the account and get the confirmation from the German account, from the German bank. Does not mean that when you go to Germany or before you travel, you will now withdraw the money. No, it does not work like that. Every month they give you, it's an automated process anyways. When you come to Germany, you arrive, you upload your visa and some other documents, then they will now be issuing you the money. Currently, it's 861 euro every month. So they give you that payout for a window of 12 months. 12 months. So within 12 months, you would have cleared out the money which you deposited into the account. So that's that. So one other information about visa process is arriving on time. Very important. Arriving on time for your interview. If you go on Nairaland, you may hear a lot of things about some of the staff, some of the visa officer staff or whoever that works in the German consulate in Lagos. That if you want to go to Lagos, but mostly their interviews are conducted in Lagos. A few other interviews are conducted in Abuja. So you must arrive in time. You must also have photocopied or you must also have the relevant documents, and according to the stipulated copies. So they usually have a checklist of the number of copies you need for each of the documents they need you to submit. So you make the copies according to, because if you go that day and you don't have, for example, a photocopy of one of your documents, to do a photocopy, to run a photocopy of a document within the German consulate premises is very expensive. You wouldn't want to hear the amount, but let me just tell you, to print just one document, whether colored or black and white, is 5,000 naira. So imagine that you want to print 20 copies. They know you are desperate. Those guys working around there, they know you are desperate, and you can pay. You are willing to pay any amount of money to have your document printed out. So they will charge you a lot of money. So what I did was 2 days before my interview, 2 working days before my interview, I went to the German consulate just to know the place for the first time. Then got my prepaid courier envelope, because that was and that is the requirement. That's one of the requirements, so that they can use the prepaid courier envelope to reveal your original document, including your certificate, including your local government, and your original document you submitted. So basically, that was that. About the interview, it's not that they will ask you some extraneous questions, or they will ask you some ambiguous question. But if you are lucky, like I was, and the person who interviews you that day, for example, you read international relations in your first degree, and you are going for a master's program in international relations or a master's program in development studies, and someone who is interviewing, the person who is interviewing you that day, read international relations, then you should be ready to answer real questions. So they will not just ask you, can you tell us about Germany? If I don't know, that is one of the least questions they will ask you. I prepared for all those mentioned 15 states, not the 16 states, the 16 states in Germany, the capital of Germany, and some important things about Germany. I prepared for all those things, not knowing that the person who was interviewing me or the person who interviewed me read international relations, and my background is, my first degree background is history and diplomatic studies. So I was really talking to a professional. She told me she was a professor. She told me that she read international. So there was no possibility, even if I had the intention of faking some of the answers I preferred. I mean, she would definitely catch me, So you need to be prepared all around. Your mind also needs to be prepared, because those guys can, especially from the gate, they can really, some of them can really be, there are a lot of good guys in the German consulate, but some of them can really be, their face alone can really be scaring, as some of you will see on Naira Land. So just do what they require of you, and you have your this thing, and have your documents, They can have heard of persons who they had 19 of the documents. For example, let me assume that they requested for 20 documents, and someone had 19 documents, or 19 of the documents. They will send the person home. They are not in for their bureaucracy. Their bureaucracy is too much. But I mean, it's how the system works, and you have to respect the system. So if there are any questions regarding to visa, the visa interview, the interview itself, I think I'm also ready to answer. If not now, later. Richie, I'm done.
Okay, great. Yeah, okay, great. When we work with clients, we usually come across a lot of people who say, I was rejected because of financial requirements and all. But before that, sorry for mistaking your stuff. I was actually thinking you missed that interview. My bad. So, but that's where I'm going to talk about. I want you to talk about financial, or I'm going to ask a question about financials, because financial requirements is one place where a lot of people have issues. Now, what most people do when they are about to travel, or when they are processing their visa, they know that these countries have a specific amount of money they require you to have, to show that, okay, you have that buoyancy to cater for yourself while you're in their country, not just coming to be a liability to their system, right? So what most people do is when it's 2 months to the interview, a month to the interview, they just transfer one huge sum of money into a particular account. Okay, so you just said that for Germany, you have to open a separate account and just deposit that money, right? Did they require you to like show any trace of your previous account aside that particular one, that German account you created?
Oh, sorry, I had to add something. So it's a clear-cut process. In some cases, in rare cases, they would, in very rare cases, I've not heard of any person in Nigeria, but for other countries, like a colleague of mine opened the so-called block account and deposited that amount of money to the account. So they requested for payslips or evidence of that money, where the money was coming from, especially if you are paying. So if you open with a PIN, but they require that you pay your money, you pay in that required that lump sum of money in not more than 3 installments. So if you pay more than 3 installments from Nigeria, I'm talking about from my experience now, if you pay more than the 3 installments, they would require evidence regarding where the money was coming from. So you need to tell them, it really explain your source of this. But I've not heard of any person who had that issue. So I forgot to say that, or let me just chip in that there are 3 ways you can fund your studies. Number one is through scholarship. I mean, even if it is 300 euro per month or even 150 euro per month, in as much as it is scholarship, you can provide. Yeah, you can provide that as a proof of funding. You can provide that as a proof. If you are going with that scholarship, it is very easy. The way they treat scholarship holders is really amazing. So another form of funding is also your self-support. That money you need to deposit into the blocked account, like I earlier mentioned. The third way you can finance your studies, more or less without even paying anything, is to get a sponsorship, a special sponsorship letter from someone. If you have someone in Germany and the person is a resident and is working and has, a certain amount or earns a certain amount of money monthly, depending on the state he or she resides, then the person can provide what we call sponsorship letter to you, stating that they will be responsible to cater for your studies. Just a document. They will get the document. They will go to their city office where they are residing. Then their city office would, after verifying their credentials, verifying their document, will now issue the letter to them. Of course, they will submit. You also submit the details to the person who is in Germany, who you have in Germany. But what Nigerians are doing now is that to get that sponsorship, instead of depositing 10,000 plus amount of euros, which is the naira equivalent of that's over 6 million naira now. Over 6 million naira now. So what Nigerians do is, to get that sponsorship letter is an alternative, a good alternative in some cases anyway, a good alternative. So they charge a fee for that. Some people are charging 1,500 euros, 2,500 euros to get a sponsorship letter. Then they can attest that or provide that sponsorship letter to you. But I would not recommend anyone to I wouldn't recommend anyone to use sponsorship letter. Reasons because and I must be sincere now, I must be very sincere. Getting an appointment at the German embassy is very difficult. And I'm not scaring any person off. It's difficult. It's difficult. So they have the German appointment booking system for studies in Germany. There are 2 categories. The category A, one is category A. Category A, if you book under category A, then the embassy will prioritize issuing you your appointment. So to qualify to book under that category, you must have a first class result approved from January 2019. That's the current requirement that's one of the current requirements for to be issued a category A appointment day. So another requirement for that is either you're going with a first degree, a first class first degree approved from January 2019, or you're going for a PhD, or you're going with a funded admission later or whatever. You're going with a scholarship later or something like that. So when I had my first interview and they bounced me back because of the disparity in the amount they needed, it was an issue getting an appointment, and I must be very sincere with you. It was an issue getting another appointment date. So I wrote an email to the school, to the German embassy, informing them that I'm a scholar, I'm an Erasmus scholar. I've already explained that you can get the Erasmus Middle Scholarship, you can get the Erasmus Plus Scholarship, even during your studies or even before your studies. Or you can also get the Dutch scholarship. So it was when I got the Erasmus Plus scholarship letter from my school, and I sent it to the embassy. In fact, it was the following day that issued me an appointment date. It was the following day they issued. So if you are going with the scholarship, it makes things easy for you, especially in terms of getting appointment date, which is very important now. Getting appointment date. I know of some persons who have been waiting for a couple of months for appointments appointment date and for their masters, and they are currently doing a master's in Nigeria. Some of them are even in their second semester. Some of them are going to their third. I'm not saying this to scare you, but I'm just laying the facts to you so that you can also consider Germany. I mean, also look at applying for scholarships as you're applying for admissions in Germany. Then also look at other countries. Poland is nice. Poland is very close to Germany and also has a lot of schools that are nice. And most of their schools, I mean, more or less, you don't pay anything. Even if you pay, it's 500, 800 euros every semester, which you can pay bit by bit if you're able to complete it throughout the semester. So I think that's basically that. I don't know if there's anything I've not answered regarding your last question, Rich.
Okay, I think you're good on that. But then as you were explaining, I remembered I put forward a question to you that somebody was asking me, especially about this category A and category B stuff. So I know I would need you to throw more light on that, specifically on that, how it works. What makes you fall under category B? And why do people assume that category B is more comfortable? So what's the whole idea what's the whole idea behind the category A and category B? And why do most people think category B is more comfortable?
It's not a matter of category B is to say the least is not comfortable at all. It's not a comfortable situation to book. Remember, I told you that you can only book for a category if you are qualified for that category. If you book for category A and you get an appointment of category A and you don't meet the requirement and you go for your interview, more or less they will bounce you back at the gate, or the visa officer will bounce you because you don't meet the requirement. I had already mentioned that to qualify for category A, you must either be going for your PhD, whether funded or not funded, or you have a first degree result approved from January 2019, or you have a scholarship either from that or Erasmus or any European supported fund, any German public supported fund. You are going with such fund, that you can apply for category B. For category A. Every other person who do not qualify for category A, automatically will find themselves in category B. So that's pretty how the system works. So let me just use myself as an example. So throughout last year, I was looking under category A. Pardon?
Is there any special, sorry for cutting, special preference for the categories?
Before now, there really was not a much deal whether you booked with category B or you are looking with category A. But now it's much of a big deal. It's much of a big deal because most of the people that the German embassy are attending to, the German embassy is attending to at the moment are category A people. So the only special thing about the category is that you get faster visa appointment dates. That's just the only special thing about that, which is a big deal. Like I had already mentioned, I have persons who are in Nigeria, persons who are very close to me, who have been booking appointments using category B since last year till now. Since last year till now. Some of them in July, some of them they've not gotten an appointment. So, but if you are going with a first class result approved from 2019, then you can January 2019, then you can book under category A, or you're going for your PhD, or you have a German public supported fund, or you have a European supported fund such as Erasmus Modus, then they can prioritize. Like in my case now, after the first appointment date from March from March this year, I was not qualified to book under category A because from April 1 this year, they have changed the requirements. So my first class result was approved in June 28, 2018. So from April 1, 2021, that's this year, they changed that requirement that we only need people, the only first class people we need to book under category A are people who had their first class result approved from January 2019. So automatically, I was not qualified to book under category A. But when I sent an email to the embassy, provided my Erasmus scholarship document to them, they now prioritized my. In fact, it was the next day I got an appointment date. The next day I got one. So there's no special, but now it's actually special. I mean, getting an appointment. You have persons who, I know of persons who have the money, that's a lump sum of amount of money, but their issue is appointment date. So it's really, for now, it's special, yeah. Booking on that category, yeah. I'm done.
Okay, great. So guys, I hope you can hear that. So for you to fall under category A, it's either you're going for a PhD. You're not done?
No, I'm done.
Akachukwu, you say you're not done?
I'm done with that question.
Okay. So for you to qualify for the category A, is either you are going for a PhD, you have a first class within that time frame, and now the time frame is January 2019, and I think as the year goes, they adjust the category, the year for that first class option, and then the third option that can qualify you for the category A is if you're going with a funded a scholarship, right? So any of these three things gets you to the category A. So it means that as you're planning to apply for schools or to schools in Germany, and you want to really skill faster, you should also put into consideration applying for scholarships. Yeah. So if you're able to get one of them, it gives you an upper hand to get an appointment with the embassy. Okay. So one more question for this visa interview and the visa process. You talk about having a special sponsor. So you said that it depends on the state. Can you hear me, Akachukwu?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You said number one, it depends on the states, right? Are there special states that the person must be staying in without, if the person is not staying in those states, the person is not eligible to come in as a special sponsor?
Okay, so when I was talking about states, I was not talking about states in Nigeria. I was talking about the German states. There are 16 of the federal states in Germany. So each state has their own requirements, because the Germany operates a true system, a true federal system of government. So every state is independent. Every state control their immigration, more or less the immigration policy. But you also have a national immigration framework. But more or less every state controls their resources, controls and decides the number of persons who comes into their state. So when I was making reference about the sponsorship letter, any person who is a resident and works has a credible job in Germany, and you know him and he has an amount of money like in his account, can provide the sponsorship letter for the. So the requirement to provide that sponsorship letter from the person in Germany, from the person you have in Germany, differs from one state to another. Some states will say, okay, we need this requirement. Some other states will say we need a requirement XYZ. Some other states will give a different request. So you need to confirm the person who you want to provide to collect the sponsorship letter from in Germany has to check what the requirements are and what the processes are. I know someone was willing to get, before I got my scholarship letter, someone had volunteered, a friend had volunteered to give me the sponsorship letter without paying anything, without paying anything. But the only issue I had was my interview was February 9, and I was looking for the sponsorship letter. And I just got the appointment letter, so it was unplanned. It was arbitrary. Like I never planned for it. I never planned for the appointment. It just came like that, and I never wanted to miss the appointment date. So one of the first options I considered was sponsorship letter. But so because of the time, so the person who was to get the sponsorship letter from me from Germany, he now told me that he needs to book an appointment in his state, in his city, to get that sponsorship letter. And the earliest appointment date he got was March 4. Whereas my interview was slated for February 9. So automatically, you know that I will not, if I had wanted to go with the sponsorship letter, they will still bounce me back. So what I did was to just find a way to start raising the money, open my block account, find a way to deposit that amount of money. Of course, you cannot deposit because of CBN restriction, monetary restriction policies. You cannot deposit that amount of money from your Naira account to the account. So you need to go to BDC, Bureau de Change, change the money from Naira to the Euro and deposit into the account. So that was how I did it. I'm done, Richie.
Okay, great. That's great. We've talked extensively about the whole visa process and scaling through, right? So let's talk about, before we give options for question and answer, after this stage, let's talk about how was it like relocating. What are the things one needs to be careful of? Just tell us about the process, and then how you were able to adjust to the system.
Okay, I'll answer that question. And for other embassies, I will also start on this note. For other embassies, you have agents who can secure appointment. Like in the US, it happens like that. That you have agents who can really fast track your appointment, or who had booked an appointment, reserved an appointment, then you can meet them, then they can give you an appointment, they fast track appointment. But in the case of the German embassy, it does not work like that. I never used any agents. I did everything myself. Every single thing. In fact, someone contacted me last week. Was it last week? Unfortunately, he's not in this program. I invited him. He did not join. So he told me that someone was charging 3.2 million naira. 3.2 million naira to process his admission. I said, what kind of admission is he processing? What does the 3.2 million naira cover? He was not able to say anything. So that's fraudulent. That's fraudulent. So nobody would, the German embassy will not ask you for any amount of money and nobody can help you secure an appointment at the German embassy. Nobody can help you secure an appointment at the German embassy. I'm the one saying it. I know of persons who are able to help you secure an appointment in the US embassy and some other embassies. But in the German embassy in Lagos, In Nigeria, no, you can't. Nobody can do that for you. Even you are with the admission process, I would recommend you do everything yourself. Get the relevant information through the DAD website I shared with you. Get the relevant information. Ask people around, who are already in Germany, or I don't know how you do it, but there are information all around, incredible information. If you even go to Netherlands, you also find some relevant. Yeah, Netherlands also offers some. Not that every information on Netherlands is credible enough, but I've logged in on Netherlands and found out that that place is a resource center for information regarding studies. But regarding anything, Netherlands is a resource center anywhere in it. So regarding your question, answering your question, how it was, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy, especially when you are relocating to a different continent entirely, and you know that the language is also a language. Some people will say it's a barrier, but I don't really see it like that. I don't see that the Deutsch whatever is a barrier. I see it as an opportunity to learn a different language, learn a different culture. So yeah, I see that's an opportunity. I see that. So you need to really program your mindset in this manner that there would be challenges, but I mean life is made of challenges, and you just have to brace up for those challenges. Communication challenges, the racial challenges, where they exist. I've not experienced anything like that. Everyone have experienced cheerful, ready to help if they can speak English. Most of the persons I've met, most of the Germans I've met, are able to communicate a bit of English. So yeah. So it will be difficult in the first few months, but you need to. But if you are really interested in applying to a German school, I would recommend that you start learning German. It will help you even if you're applying for an entirely English taught program. So my master's program is entirely taught in English. So even if you are like me, that you are applying for a program that is entirely taught in English, you need some level of proficiency in German to be able to communicate and also to be able to work. There are a lot of job opportunities in Germany. Fortunately enough, most of those opportunities require some level of proficiency in German. So, learning German in Germany, or learning Deutsch in Germany, is really expensive. So, and there are a lot of places you can do that in Nigeria, and it will cost you less. It will cost you less. Trust me, it will cost. So, you really have in mind to start applying for schools in Germany. I would recommend that you start learning the German. I think before I came in here, I already had a certificate, a 1.1 certificate in German. That was that is an added advantage. I'm also looking at improving my communications skills, my German communication skills. So I mean, there are a lot of opportunities. There are a lot of opportunities coming over here. There are a lot of opportunities. Some of these issues we witness in Africa, with several places in Africa, precisely in Nigeria, you find out that they are more or less they don't exist here. They don't exist here. When you come over here, even if Germany, I have a couple of persons who tell me that, I mean, Germany is not my kind of country. Germany is not my country. And I ask them, what is your kind of country? And they tell me Canada, the US, and the UK. I say, oh, that's nice. Well, Canada is not forthcoming. US is not forthcoming. UK, in fact, Germany is, if you have an appointment with the German embassy, if you are able to secure an appointment at the German embassy, they are more liberal in giving visas. The German government is more liberal in giving visa to students than the US embassy, and that's true. That's true. On the day of my appointment, in fact, whenever you go, because the German consulate is very close to the US embassy, very close. So as early as 5 o'clock, or as early as not 5 o'clock, it's not 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock. As early as 5 o'clock, you already see a lot of people who are queued in front of in front of the US embassy. And trust me, a good percentage of persons, in fact, if not let me not wait, but a good percent of persons who go for visa interview at the US embassy don't get their visas approved. So so that is that. So you need to look at for if you've been applying to US, you've been applying to Canada, you should keep applying to those places. But at the same time, you should have option B, you should have option C, so that when you come over here and you are done, maybe you study. I even have heard of persons who, after studying, they even did not complete their studies here. They got an admission in the US, applied for the US visa in Germany, and it was very easy process, like very easy. Got their visa and they traveled to the US and they continued their studies. So you can see Germany if you don't really like the country. I know some people don't like the country, but if you don't like the country, you can use here as a stepping stone to greater opportunities. I think that's that. Yeah. I'm done, Richie.
Wow, great. Thank you so much. You were talking about opportunities. I know that. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. I can hear you, Richie. Hello, can you hear me? Hello, Richie. Hello, can anyone hear me? Hello, Richie.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. I think his network disconnected, though. I don't know. I'm not able to hear him.
Yeah.
Okay, I think in the meantime, while we wait for, I don't know if there's any other person who is moderating, so we can, if you have any question, you can ask. Yeah, can ask your questions and yeah.
Okay. All right, Akachukwu, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, sorry, I don't know what happened. I remember while we were still discussing about this class and preparing, you were talking about Poland, Sweden, and particularly, guys, the next class on this series, we're going to be discussing study in Sweden, right? So we already have the resource person. So the next class on this series, you might not necessarily need to sign up again if you had signed up for this first one. So prepare for that, because we want to try and cover most of these countries that people really don't take seriously. People don't take them seriously. Everybody wants Canada, everybody wants US, everybody wants the UK, okay? Everybody wants Australia. But there's Poland, there's Sweden, there's Croatia. These guys have opportunities. As Akachukwu has even said, even job opportunities who moved over there from study and they got into work. So, and he's confirmed there are opportunities there. You just have to meet one or two requirements. So, Akachukwu, tell us about study opportunities in Poland and Sweden, just like a preparation for what is coming. You have friends over there too, I know. So, how is it like?
So the beauty, like I had earlier said before now, for me, I would prefer Europe to Canada or even US, because when you have a visa from Poland, for example, or you have a visa from Sweden, or you have a visa, like in my case, a visa from Germany, or a visa to study in Germany, you have the opportunity to travel around most countries in Europe without visa. So with your Polish visas, Polish student visa, Polish student residence permit, you can travel from Poland to Netherlands to Sweden to Germany to different countries. That is what studying in Sweden offers you. It also gives you opportunity to work in, not just, for example, if you're going with a Polish visa, it also gives you the opportunity to work in another country, another EU country, or another Schengen country, as it's called. And most countries that are members of the EU are also members of Schengen area. So there are a lot of opportunities, travel opportunities, job opportunities, especially in Sweden. Sweden has one of the best healthcare system in the world. Someone will be asking, how does healthcare system reflect on jobs? How does it reflect on job opportunity? It has a lot of things. It has a lot of rules to play in terms of job opportunities, because when people are sick, when people are not feeling fine, there will be no creativity, and when there is no creativity, there will be no jobs. So you could see that healthcare system delivery, or a good healthcare system, more or less qualifies or brings about more employment, more employment opportunities. So by virtue of studying in Sweden, you have the possibility of, after your studies, you have, I think for Sweden is, and maybe Simeon will confirm that, I don't really know the case. It should be 2 years. 2 years, between 18 months, 2 years, they give after your study, after you've completed your study, they give you 2 years. So that 2 years just for you to sit down and look for jobs. Look for jobs, and within that 2 years, you should get something. You should be able to learn the language in addition to the level of proficiency you've already acquired in the language when you are studying. So during that 18 months or 2 years, as they would give you, you can be able to learn the language. Then also, which is a deciding factor. Nobody will lie to you about that. Learning the native language is a deciding factor to getting a very good job. So, I mean, within the 3 years or 2 years you spent in your bachelor or your master's or even your PhD should help you learn the language. And even after completing school, you have 18 months to search for job. And within that 18 months, with that 18 months residence permit that you're giving you to search for a job, you can also travel to another EU country to also apply for a job or even attend an interview. That is what studying in EU offers you, that some other countries like US, UK. UK is very expensive to cry out loud. UK is very, very expensive. Yes, you have the language as English, but UK is extremely expensive. If you're not going with a Chevening scholarship, or you're not going with the Commonwealth scholarship, which is highly competitive, then except you have someone sponsoring you, I wouldn't recommend UK to anybody. Although they've improved on their immigration policies so that after your master's program you can stay back in the UK. But I mean, I would prefer Germany 100 times over UK. I would prefer Sweden. I'm telling you the truth, 100 times um, over 100 times over UK. Tax. There are some things you consider. There are some things you consider before applying for an admission or traveling out. You're looking at job opportunities. You're looking at racial profiling. You're looking at some other factors. You're looking at cost of living. They are looking at cost of living. UK cost of living is very high, especially you are going to school within London and axis. I mean, you don't have full sponsorship. It's really very difficult. But in Sweden, even while studying, you can get scholarship opportunities. I've mentioned Erasmus, especially for exchange semester. Even your master's thesis can be funded. You can apply to your school and you have your master's thesis funded. You can also do your, especially in much of Sweden, I think much of Sweden, much of Germany, I'm sure of Germany, but I'm very sure of Germany, for your master's thesis, you can apply. For example, as someone who is very passionate to study in the US or study in Canada, can apply for a research position, a research position, kind of a research collaboration between a school in Canada and your school in So you basically go to Canada to finish up your degree. The person you got there can serve as that's a supervisor. You get a supervisor in the US or get a supervisor in Canada. Then go to Canada, spend the last 6 months of your study program in Canada or in the US. It works like that. Schools in Germany provide such funds, and I also think schools in Sweden provide most schools in Sweden provide such opportunities. You can also look out for the SI scholarship, Swedish Institute Scholarship. It's not a popular scholarship. It's popular, but it's not popular. What I mean by that is it's not as popular as Commonwealth Scholarship that everyone is applying to. There are a lot of scholarships out there that, except you have the information about the scholarship, you may not really know that they exist. Have you heard of OKP scholarship by the Dutch government? Have you heard of, there are a lot of scholarship even by the French government. There are a lot of scholarship by even Polish. You have Poland government scholarship, a lot of them available, a lot of them. You just have to get your information. Go on LinkedIn. There is a way to search for people who, I know early this year or last year, I think last year I was searching for people who won the OKP scholarship, Orange Knowledge Scholarship, sponsored by the Dutch, sponsored by the Holland government or the Netherlands government. So I checked in on LinkedIn and got a few people who typed in my application and all that. I mean, there are a lot of resources available online about studying in Poland, about studying in Sweden also. So you just have to be on the look for such information and make the most out of them.
Okay, great. So we've spent close to an hour 30, and you have really done justice to this. So I'm just going to open the floor now. If you have any question, you can raise your hand with any of the icon or indicate that you have any question so that he treats your question and we bring this.
I think
Particular to an end. I'd already mentioned that in Sweden, and we're hoping that next Sweden. Okay, Emmanuel, and talk to Akachukwu.
Good evening, Akachukwu. Good evening, Richard. Can anybody?
Yeah, good evening. Yeah, I can.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah,
yes, we can hear you. Go ahead with the question.
Okay, my name is Emmanuel Obina, actually. So I have two questions. One is concerning the scholarships that you talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Or can you be specific? So, like, to make it easier for us, like, okay, the name of the few scholarships that you know that are available, and then this scholarship, do they have to do with the particular course you're going for, or it just covers everybody that is going to study in within the Schengen country or European countries, such as you talked about? And okay, that is it. Thank you.
Oh, that is okay. Okay. So the Erasmus scholarship
Is it?
the Erasmus scholarship, like I mentioned. There are different types of Erasmus scholarship. You have Erasmus Mundus scholarship. So you apply for the scholarship as you're applying for the admission. It's an entirely different process. It's an entirely different process. So the Erasmus Mundus scholarship, if you get it, when you get an Erasmus Mundus scholarship, it would you travel to you have your study in three different countries. You can have it in France. For example, I have a friend who won the scholarship. She will be traveling September. So she will have a master's program in three different countries. first she will travel to Belgium. From Belgium, she will travel to Czech Republic, then finally, sorry, Germany, then Czech Republic, finally. That's the Erasmus Middle Scholarship. We also have the Erasmus Plus Scholarship. The Erasmus Plus Scholarship is majorly for internship. So if you get an internship position in, so most schools in Germany don't joke with, in fact, let me not say most schools. Germany as a whole don't joke with internships. Europe as a whole don't joke with internships. So one of the ways to encourage students to really go for internship, go for internship or take internship positions is by providing what they call Erasmus funding, Erasmus Plus funding for internship. There is also Erasmus Plus funding for exchange semester. So in my own case now, my program runs for 4 semesters. I can decide to go to a school in Sweden to have my third semester or to even have my fourth semester, and it will be funded. There is a guaranteed funding, just is specific, and I'm not too much an amount of money, but it's reasonable at least to cover your accommodation or your monthly, some of the things you need to buy on a monthly basis. Yeah, so you apply for the scholarship and you get it. Is more or less automatic. That's for the Erasmus Plus Scholarship. Then another scholarship in Germany that I know of is that scholarship. These are specific scholarship. So that scholarship does not cover every course. That scholarship does not cover every course. That scholarship does not also cover every school in Germany. There are specific schools that I think the application is even going on now. The application is going on now till October. I'm not too sure. Application should be going on for the DAD scholarship, going on till October. I think the deadline should be October 31st. You need to confirm. You need to confirm that details. So that scholarship would have, there are some certain courses that they've outlined, their focus areas, and schools that they are partnering with, and to make the scholarship a reality. But even beyond all these scholarships, in addition to all these scholarships I've mentioned Erasmus Plus, I've mentioned Erasmus Modules, I've mentioned that scholarship. You can also, when you get an admission and you start your master's program in Germany, you have funding from your state, from the state you are studying in. You have what we call Deutschland Stipendium. Deutschland Stipendium. So there are a lot of schools that, like my school also offers Deutschland Stipendium. There are a lot of schools in Germany that also offer Deutschland Stipendium. I mean, funding supported by the state government. Yeah. So you need to really check whether the course you're applying for has a provision for that scholarship, or it has a provision for Erasmus Plus in your school. Is a partnership between your school and maybe a school abroad, a school in Sweden, a school in Italy. I mean, it differs from one school to another. It also differs from one program to another within the school setting. I don't know if I answered your question.
Emmanuel, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
Great. Does any other person have any question? Any other person? Okay. I think nobody else has any question. So for people who are seeking or interested in scholarships, which would also help fast track your
I have a question.
Who is talking? Emmanuel?
No, my name is Sunday. I've been raising.
Oh, sorry, I missed that. Okay, Sunday, go on with your question, please.
Okay, so sorry, I would like to ask 2 questions. So the first, the first one is, what are the HND holders? That's for HND holders. And the second question is there a minimum amount of funds? The minimum amount of funds one apply for the school?
Can anybody hear him? Akachukwu, we can't hear you.
Can't hear me.
Okay, we
Can you
can
hear me
now.
now?
Yes, I can
Okay,
now.
okay. I know someone had contacted me some few weeks ago asking me this same question, and the answer was and Germany does not really recognize HND except I confirm and except you run a second check, because the last time I checked, they don't really recognize. Well, if you want to use that as a basis to apply for a master's program, they don't really recognize that. So what they would suggest you do is to apply for a bachelor program. So I think that was the recommendation I gave to the guy, and he was already submitting his application for a bachelor. I mean, entirely in Europe, they don't really recognize, except you talk to the school, and they also email the admission office or your department, the department you want to study with, explain your situation to them. Then they can really advise whether they would accept the document, the HND certificate. So anything apart from that, they don't. Most schools in Germany and Europe, they don't recognize HND, to the best of my knowledge. But you can, like I said before, now the best thing I would really recommend to do is, so if you find the school and you find a course, I would suggest you just write directly to the program coordinator. Usually on the school's website and on the department website, you see the email addresses of the relevant authorities you need to write to in case of inquiries about admission processes and or whatnot. You just write an email to them, explain your situation, the degree you are going with, or your first degree or whatever you are going with, and they can really advise you on what next to do, whether to proceed with your application process or to find another alternative. Then about the other question, funding, required amount. There is a required amount, a minimum required amount. As of now, it is 10,336 euro. I mean, it changes. Tomorrow they can wake up and they can change it. So you need to be checking on the German website, the German consulate website. I think I sent something on the WhatsApp group. I sent a link explaining the categories, different categories, category A and category B, who qualifies for A, who qualifies for B. So you can see that on the link I sent, the previous link I sent. So it also explains that. Then if you check, if you just type on Google, um, uh, German student visa, checklist for Nigerian students, just for Nigerian applicants. If you just type that, it would bring up search engines or search results that would direct you to what you are looking for, and to bring the requirements there. To the best of my knowledge, the requirement as at now is 10,336, and that is about 861 euros per month. They are required of you to have times 12 months. They are required of you to have at least for the first 12 months of your stay in Germany.
Okay, great. Sunday, you get the points, right?
Yes, perfectly. He has answered my questions. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Because
Thank you.
even some university degrees, when you want to take it for masters abroad, they don't even recognize it. There are some universities, there are some schools that there's a statement they use. I've forgotten how they coin. There's a way they use that statement, and the meaning of the statement is they're just clearly telling you that if your university is not from a top tier university, don't apply, right? So that's that for that. All right, guys. We've exhausted our time. We've learned a lot. Is there any other person with question? Please let it be. I'm not missing anybody. Are we all good? If we're all good, say go on. Just leave a message and say go on. If we're all good to go, just say go on. If I should proceed, please say go on or give me a thumbs up.
Sorry, Richard, I wanted to say something. You know, if most UK schools, some UK schools can really accept, may really accept HND because just some, because you know UK schools are looking for students. They are looking for international students. They need that money because they are paying for tuition. If they need the money, they need the money for tuition and all that. So they are they are technically begging students to come, international students to come, and that was why they had to improve on their immigration policy. Before now, once you go to the UK to study a master's program, after your master's program, in fact, 2 weeks later, no more than 1 month later, you go back to your country. But now they say, let's give you 2 years, look for job. If you find job, you stay. If you don't find job, you go back. You know, that's how it works now. Because they're looking for money. They're looking for people to invest in the economy. And that is what Canada is doing. Canada is also doing that. But you just have to confirm from the, like I said before now, from the program, this thing, and one other thing I forgot to mention, I'll just mention it briefly. When you're applying to schools, for me, especially when you want to apply to US and Canada, and you are looking for funding, there are a lot of funding opportunities in US. Those years or those days last year, I used to from 10 p.m. in the night till the following morning, 4 a.m. Richard and I, we used to discuss as 1 a.m. Richard would text me, I was still replying because I'm always online, usually online, 1 a.m., 12 a.m., you know, doing my searching about US schools. And, you know, it's really a very cumbersome, a very hectic process searching for schools. But if my recommendation to you, for any person who wants to apply to a US school, do not apply to top schools. Even if you have a first class, do not apply to top schools. Look at schools with low ranking that you are sure that when you apply, there are no much comparisons. There are some schools that you see that the acceptance rate is 15%. Acceptance rate is 20%. Acceptance rate is 50%, 60%. Or 60% is even fair enough. But I mean, be mindful of those schools. Be mindful of those schools. The competition will be high. I once applied to a school with my qualification. I made a very first class. I made a first class degree, and not any and anyhow kind of first class. My reference letters alone, my job experience or work experience, what again I was using with my qualification. Even with all these qualifications I was having, the school did not offer me admission. The school did not offer me, and they explained that the number of opportunities they had was less than okay, the number of people who applied and we are qualified for the position was more than the number of positions available. So when applying to US, especially US schools, you know, and you want to get they may not really, they don't usually call it a scholarship per se. Funding in the US comes in the form of teaching assistantship, graduate assistantship, research assistantship. So you need to look at for those details, and you also need to look at if the department you're applying for in the US also has provision for full funding, including your tuition. You will not pay tuition. They will give you stipend. They will cover your health insurance. Even if they don't cover your health insurance, it's fine. Without health insurance, you can sort out your health insurance. If they are giving you stipend and also have catered for your tuition, it's fine. Then Canadian schools will also, you send a lot of emails to, especially if you are going for a research-based master's program, you spend a lot of because the acceptance into the program, it depends, and scholarship also depends on getting a supervisor, right? So you need to send a lot of emails. I have a friend who eventually won the Erasmus Moodle scholarship. She tells me that, or told me that she sent up to 50 emails, up to 50, and most times you don't get response. She don't get a reply. So you need to really be diligent. Keep on, grinding, as we say in Nigeria. Keep on applying. I applied to a lot of schools last year, but all of them were giving me admission without funding. All of them. There was no school I applied. Okay, there's just one school that I applied to yet last year that did not give me admission. The German school I explained. So there would always be admission, but the funding is funding. So you need to search schools in the US. And if you're applying, if you have a funding package from a US school, I've not heard of any person who has a funding package from a US school and goes for interview at the US embassy that gets rejection. I've not heard. So you need to make your research. Don't search for big schools. Big Princeton. You have Stanford. You have all those top schools. Schools in 1% category. Maybe be mindful of them. I think at a point last year, I practically was typing list list rank schools in the US. I was typing that even with my first degree. I mean, so even with my first class, even with my volunteer experience, which also counts. If you also have publication, it also counts, especially when you're going for a research-based master's program. And you also know there is a possibility to apply for a direct PhD in the US, whether you are having a second class upper or first class, you can apply for a direct PhD in the US. It happens. I've heard of persons. Me, I was not interested in the direct PhD as I then applying for a direct PhD. If not, I would have considered that option. Consider what it happens. There are provisions for that for you. So in that case, you need to do the program will now run for 5 years, 2 years for master's, then the other 3 years for the PhD. That's how it works in the US. Most of their PhDs are usually 5 years because they understand that your master's this thing is not really a requirement. What the most important requirement is your first degree, then your work experience, then your research publication where applicable, then the research proposal, personal statement, recommendation letters, and stuff like that. I just felt I should add this little information as a background to maybe for persons who want to apply for US schools and all whatnot.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Akachukwu. You've done a very good work. You've clarified a lot of things, and I really appreciate. So, guys, thank you everyone that showed up for this class. I really appreciate you coming here to get what we have to offer. Like I say in Fasthire, what we're interested in is coming up with platforms, content, materials that would enable people to get the best out of their career. So that's our mission as a brand, that's our mission as a team, right? So as a recap for everything Akachukwu has said, for you to apply to schools in Germany, you need to utilize community activities, volunteer activities, you need to utilize your degree. They all need to align with what you're going for. Your work experience or have a say in some of the schools in Germany are free or require some kind of funds which would serve as your maintenance, right? For your maintenance, so that you don't go and become a liability in the country. The amount that is required in your account varies, but currently is around for Nigeria is around 6 million naira as at this month and this year. Okay, so it's around that amount, which is fair because we did a calculation for someone who wanted to study in the US, and this amount we're talking about now was around 20 million for a US study visa. So you need that. So when you have there's category A and category B for appointments, and at the moment category A is more prioritized, and it gives you opportunities to get an appointment at the embassy faster. For you to fall into that category means you made a first class within 2019 till date, or you're going in for a PhD, or you have a scholarship. So it means you need to fast track your process. You need scholarship. You need to start applying for scholarship, the Erasmus Mundus scholarship, and all the other scholarships that are available for German schools that you might not know. So you need to use Google, research for those scholarships. When you have this color, please don't be lousy, be hardworking. When they tell you bring 5 copies of this document, don't bring 4. Ensure you attach that, and then ask questions from people who have gone ahead of you. Make inquiries. Akachukwu is always here. You can follow him on LinkedIn, or connect with him on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and pick his brain where it's necessary. Like he has said, Germany comes with a lot of opportunities, but people overlook it because it's not an English-speaking country. So if it's a country you fancy, it means you need to start taking proactive steps, learn the little Dutch you can learn right now, right? So that it gives you opportunity that if you happen to get over there, you can be schooling and get some student jobs that you also use to cater for yourself, because your ability to interact with the citizens will also determine the kind of job you get. So guys, go and sharpen your knowledge on the local dialects, right? Okay, so there are 3 ways you can sponsor yourself: scholarship, there's special sponsorship from somebody who stays and works in Germany and is qualified to give you that special sponsorship, or self-support, right? So all those are around the corner. So in our next class, we're going to be treating Sweden. Call whoever you want to call, people who are interested in gaining admission outside. Let them come and hear from Simeon. Simeon is going to be our next guest, and would be able to learn as much as we can. If you have questions too, right, that's it. So guys, that's all from me and my team at Fasthire Services. Thank you so much, Akachukwu. Thank you everyone who came around: Emmanuel, Lisa, Favor, Michael, Blessings. Thank you, Sunday. Thank you, Cyril, and already left maybe because. Thank you so much. Please help me tell Akachukwu thank you. Everyone, please type thank you Akachukwu and drop a thumbs up for him. He really made out his time. Please say thank you Akachukwu and give him a thumbs up. Thank you. Please help me do that. Now we're about to wrap up.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Please
I really want everyone to, yeah.
All right, Akachukwu, you're going to give your final words. Okay, Akachukwu.
Yeah, that will come much later. What?
Okay, no, I say go ahead with your final words. Well done.
Okay. So I would really love everyone to explore the option. Don't wait until you get a fully funded offer before you decide to migrate. I have a very close friend of mine. We were applying to a school last year. Unfortunately, they did not give me admission, but they referred me to another school in the US that they partner with. I can out of the 12,000 euros as tuition. The 3,000 euros as tuition, he was to pay it within throughout his study period, that within 12 months. He can just pay maybe 500 till he completes it. Not only that, they also gave him 500 euro scholarship, like living expenses scholarship, that they will be paying him 500 euro every month till he completed his study. He did not accept that the opportunity. And I'm just discussing with him this day, or not even this evening, last week I discussed with him, and he really felt bad about it. So in fact, he told me last week that if he sees an opportunity like that, similar like that, he will take it. He will take it up. So my encouragement to everyone is do not wait until you get a fully funded offer. If you, as much as I know it's not really easy for everyone, but it's something you can start working towards. You can with your little savings, even if how much you're saving. I know during NYS I was saving a bit of some amount of money even before I got my scholarship. In case I would need it, so that if I'm meeting someone for funding, and I tell him, okay, I've been able to save 400,000 naira, and this is the amount of money I need. The person will be encouraged at least, or motivated. Okay, this person has tried to save a certain amount of money. Let me see what I can do to assist. It will be different if you are going without any amount of money. Without meeting someone, just without nothing. It's discouraging. So just even if you're not interested in Germany, my motivation listening to you is be interested. Be interested. From here, you can travel to other countries. You can apply for the fully funded admission, and you will get it. In US, in Canada, get it, and from Germany, Poland or Sweden, as the case may be, travel to your dream countries. And I hope to see you guys someday. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Fasthire, Richie, thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you all for the time. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Akachukwu. We're most grateful. Finally, guys, what time is best for the next class? I would have said we use the same 8 p.m. So, but tell me what time is best. Our name abroad study opportunity. Is in Sweden. What time? But what time? What time out of that time? What time will be? Same time. 8 p.m. is okay. 8 p.m. is good. Who else? Who else? Who is online? Who else? Blessings. What time? Michael. What time? Talk to me. Talk to me.
8 p.m. is
8 p.m. is good. Michael. All right, guys. 8 p.m. Okay, that's it. So 8 p.m. it is. 8 p.m. Nigerian time on the 20th. We're going to be having the next class. Thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Do tell people about the insightful things you've learned, and then invite them for the next one. Akachukwu, I love you so much. All the best in your studies, and I look forward to meeting you in Germany.
Sure, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah.
All right, guys. Bye, guys. Take care. Bye.